this is the part 2 of the Fermi paradox. If we are right that there are 110,000 planets with life in it, so where is everybody? Welcome to the Fermi paradox. Watch the part 1 first, which is in the link in the description. We have no answer to the Fermi paradox. The best we can do is possible explanations. You know, when you hear about humans of the past debating whether Earth is round or if the sun revolved around the Earth, or thinking that lightning just happened because of Zeus, or seemed so primitive in the dark, that's about where we are in with this topic. Taking a look at some of the most discussed possible explanations for the Fermi paradox, let's divide them into two broad categories. These explanations assume that there is no sign of type 2 and type 3 civilization because there are none of them out there, and those which assume they're out there, we're not seeing or hearing them. Explanation group 1. There are no signs of higher type 2 or type 3 civilization because there are no higher civilization in existence. Those who subscribe to group 1 explanations point to something called non-exclusive problem, which debuffs any theory that says there are higher civilizations but none of them have made any contact with us because they all have ... Group 1 people look at the math which says that there should be so many thousands or millions of higher civilization that at least one of them would be an exception to the rule. Even if a theory is held for 99.99% of the higher civilization, the other 0.01% would behave differently and will become aware of their existence. Therefore, say group 1 explanation must be that there is no super advanced civilizations, and since the man suggests there are thousands of them in our own galaxy, something else must be bringing on. There's something else called the Great Filter. The Great Filter theory says that at one point from a pre-life to type 3 intelligence, there is a wall that or nearly all attempts at life hit. There's some stage in that long evolutionary process that is extremely unlikely or impossible for lives to get beyond. That stage is the Great Filter. If this theory is true, the big question is, where in the timeline does the Great Filter occur? It turns out when it comes to the fate of humankind, this question becomes very important. Depending on where the Great Filter occurs, we are left with three realities. We're rare, we're first, or we're dead. We're rare. The Great Filter is behind us. One hope we have is that Great Filter is behind us. We managed to surpass it, which means it's extremely rare for life to make it to our levels of intelligence. The diagram shows only two species making it past the Great Filter, and we're one of them. This scenario will explain why there is no type 3 civilization, but it also means that we could be one of the few exceptions, and now we've made it this far. It would also mean we have hope. On the surface, it sounds a bit like people 500 years ago suggesting that the Earth is in the center of the universe. It implies that we are special. However, something scientists call observation selection effect suggests that anyone who is pondering their own rarity is inherently part of an intelligent life success story. And whether they're actually rare or quite common, the thoughts they ponder and conclusion they will draw will be identical. This forces us to admit that being special is at least a possibility. If we are special, what exactly will we become special? I.e., which steps will we surpass that almost everyone else gets struck on? One possibility, the Great Filter could be at the very beginning. It might be incredibly unusual for life to begin at all. This is a candidate because it took about 1 billion years of Earth's existence to finally happen. And because we have tried extensively to replicate the event in labs and have never been able to do it. Even if this is indeed the great filter, it would mean that not only is there no intelligent life out there, there may be no other life at all. Another possibility, the great filter could be a jump from a simple eukaryote cells and almost nothing beyond that. The number of other possibilities. Some even think the most recent leap we've made in our current intelligence is the great filter candidate. While the leap from semi-intelligent life, chimps, to intelligent life, humans. Doesn't that the first seem like a miraculous step? Steven Pinker rejects the idea of inevitable climb upwards of evolution. Since evolution does not strive for a goal but just happens, it uses adaptation, the most useful for a given ecological niche, and the fact that on Earth it led to technological intelligence, and only one's far may suggest this outcome of natural selection is rare, and hence no means of certain developments of evolution of the tree of life. Most leaps do not qualify as the great filter candidates. As possible great filter may be one in a billion type thing where more total freak occurrence and need to be happen to provide a crazy exception for a reason. Something like a jump from a single cell to multicellular life ruled out because it occurred as many as 46 times in isolated incidents just on the planet alone. For the same reason, if we are trying to find fossilized eukaryote cell on Mars, we would rule above simple to complex life leap out as a possible great filter, as well as anything before that point on the evolutionary chain. Because if it happened both Earth and Mars, it would definitely not a 1 in a billion freak occurrence. If we are indeed rare, and it would be because of a fluky biological event, but it could also attribute it to what is called the rare Earth hypothesis, which suggests that though as many Earth-like planets, the particular conditions on Earth, whether related to the specifics of the solar system and its relation to the moon that is large is unusual for such a small planet, and contributes to our particular weather and ocean of conditions, or something about the planet itself is exceptionally friendly to life. We're the first.
Life just started.
For Group 1 thinkers, if the great filter is not behind us, there is one hope that the conditions in the universe have just recently, for the first time since the Big Bang, reached a place that would allow intelligent life to develop. In that case, there are many other species that may be on our way to super intelligent, but hasn't happened yet. We happen to be here on the right time to become one of the first super intelligent civilizations. One example of the phenomena is that could make this realistic prevalence of gamma ray bursts and insanely huge explosions we observed in the distant galaxies. In some way that it took the Earth a few hundred million years before the asteroids and volcanoes died down and life became possible. It could be the first chunk of the universe's existence was full of cataclysmic events like gamma ray bursts that could incinerate everything nearby from time to time and prevent life from developing past a certain stage. Now, perhaps we're in the midst of an astrobiological phase transition, and this is the first time any life has ever able to evolve for this long, uninterrupted. We're dead. The great filter is ahead of us. If we are neither rare nor early, Group 1 thinkers conclude that the great filter must be in our future. This would suggest that life regularly evolves from where we are, but something prevents life from going much further, reaching high intelligence in almost all cases. We're unlikely to be an exception. One possible future great filter is a regularly occurring cataclysmic natural event like the above mentioned gamma ray burst, except they're unfortunately not done yet, and is just a matter of time before all life on Earth will suddenly wipe out one day. Another candidate is possible inevitability that nearly all intelligent civilizations end up destroying themselves once a certain level of technology is reached. This is why the Oxford University philosopher Nick Bostrom says, no news is good news. The discovery of even simple life on Mars would be devastating because it would cut out the numbers of the potential great filter behind us. But if we find fossilized complex life on Mars, Bostrom said, it would be far from worst news ever printed on newspaper cover. It would mean that the great filter is definitely ahead of us, ultimately dooming the species. Bostrom believes that even if it comes to the Fermi paradox, the silence in the night sky is golden. The Fermi paradox part 3 is coming up, which has all the information about the group 2 thinkers.